Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Now, when people ask me how much it costs to be on a GLP-1, they're usually asking about the cost of the medication, but that is honestly only one part of it. There are a lot of other little expenses that go along with being on this journey that a lot of people don't think about until they're already on the medication. So today I'm breaking down everything that I personally budget for every month as someone currently on a GLP-1, from medication to protein to electrolytes and even some Amazon purchases that I remake every month that I find helps make my journey easier. So hopefully this gives you a realistic picture if you were thinking about starting as well. So let's start out with the biggest expense, and that is obviously the medication itself. Now, everyone's cost for their medication is going to be different depending on their insurance, if it's covering it or if it's not, or if it's covering part of it. The specific medication that you're on, like semaglutide versus tirzepatide. Tirzepatide is going to be more expensive because it's the next version of a GLP-1. Also the dose, if you're on a higher dose, that's going to be more expensive. And where you get it. Are you getting the name brand or are you doing a compound? And then all the different compounding pharmacies all vary in price too. So for me personally, I am using Gobi Meds. I am on the 6 milligram, I don't know, mg, is that milligram? I should know that. My husband's a pharmacist. I'm on the six dose. If you know what I'm talking about. And the one reason that I went with them, I was previously with LEMD, but I just needed to find something that was a little more cost effective, a little bit more affordable. And I ended up going with them because I just wanted the transparent pricing and a really like straightforward telehealth experience. It was really easy to fill out their intake form. You chat online with the doctor. He wanted to confirm that I actually was moving from a 7.5 dose to a 6 dose because Gobi Meds does their dosing kind of different to kind of get around the whole compounding thing. So he wanted to confirm that, I knew I was going to be going down a dose and that I didn't want to go up in my dose. So I said, yes, obviously I want to start at a lower dose because 7.5 was working really well. I want to see if the 6 works really well. I'm not going to go higher for no reason and then give myself horrible nausea and horrible side effects. So the 6 has been working perfectly for me. So yeah, I chatted with him. He was really responsive, sent my script to the pharmacy, and I got it delivered overnight. So yeah, I cannot say enough good things about Gobi Meds at this point. And if you're comparing providers, right now you can use my discount code. I'll put it up here, HeatherS25, for $25 off your GLP-1 order through Gobi Meds. And I'll put the link in my description as well, so you can go through that. Of course, always compare your options and choose a provider that is right for you. And so medication is definitely one of my biggest monthly health investments, if you want to put it that way, but it's not the only one. Next, I want to talk about protein. Now, if you watched any other videos that I've made, I am always talking about protein. I mention protein in every single video of mine because it is so important, especially when you're on a GLP-1. When your appetite is lower, every bite matters. So some of my regular purchases include stuff for the fridge, which is going to be my protein Greek yogurt. I really like the Oikos 000, and Aldi has like their version of that. So we shop at Aldi and Giant. So I'm usually buying most of my stuff from Aldi, and I'll buy the Aldi versions. Really good. Cottage cheese. I eat almost every day on toast, so that is constantly in our fridge. Ground chicken, we eat ground chicken almost every night for dinner in some way or another, whether it is in a pasta sauce or making tacos, or I do just ground chicken with cottage cheese and buffalo sauce and make my own version of buffalo chicken dip and eat it with tortilla chips. Sometimes that is just dinner in and of itself as well. And then I'll always have eggs. Because I do love doing 2 boiled eggs on a salad for lunch. Now, if you're watching this in real time, I know our country is going through a bagged lettuce kind of controversy with the cyclospora issue. So I haven't had bagged lettuce in about 2 months. I am very sad about that. So I am trying to find alternatives to a good protein forward lunch, but I have been struggling. And then some pantry staples that I always have, like I'm always gonna have my protein shakes, the protein coffee that I make, whether it's the hot protein coffee with the protein powder, or I have the ready-made shakes in the fridge that I use for iced coffee. I'll pour my espresso in the protein shake and make an iced protein coffee for breakfast. I'll always have protein bars, protein snacks, something that is easy to grab, especially if I, on accident, skip breakfast or something and then I start to get, hangry feeling. I need easy protein snacks that are right in front of my face to grab, because otherwise I'm going to make a bad decision that's going to make me feel bad later in the day. So could you do this on a budget? Yes, absolutely. You don't need protein shakes. You don't need protein bars. You can get your protein from all natural sources like eggs, or beans or that sort of thing. But I just like the convenience of having protein snacks and protein junk food, if you will, because I intentionally want to prioritize protein no matter how I get it. And if it is convenient for me, I'm gonna eat it, because when you're losing weight, especially on a GLP-1, preserving your muscle is the most important thing. Another thing that I budget for is electrolytes and hydration. Now, I don't buy bags of my electrolytes every month, because I wouldn't say I even drink electrolytes every day, but I definitely do every week. I would say it's a weekly thing. So my ride or die is gonna be the liquid IV, the sugar-free peach, and then Bubs and Waterboy are the other two that I have been using weekly, that when I want like a less sugary, less sweet option. So all three of those I have in my pantry as well, and I haven't had to re-buy them yet, but it is something that I always have like on my Amazon list, ready to go to add to my cart. If I'm putting together an Amazon order and I see that my electrolyte packets are low, it's a quick ad, and it's always in the back of my head to keep those in my cart. And then there's Amazon finds that have just made my life easier. You've heard me talk about these time and time again. Of course, it is going to be my emotional support water bottle, which this one I've had for years, and then I recently just purchased a new one, so I kind of swapped them out throughout the week. And then the replacement straws, the straws that come with these, the hole is just a little bit too big for me. So I always have the replacement straws, and some of these are getting kind of beat up after having them for a while. So I think I might need to repurchase and swap those out. And then of course you're probably going to want to buy meal prep containers, so that way you can prep your protein ahead of time and again have it quickly ready to go. Because if you've watched any of my other videos, I talked about, how the day after your injection day, your energy is not going to be the greatest. Like, you might feel tired and sluggish or not even want to look at anything in the fridge. So if you have ground chicken ready to go and in a sauce already, or a meal already created that, maybe you did the next day or that weekend, it's going to be so much easier to get your protein in when you have something meal prepped in the fridge ready to go. Another thing that I actually recently purchased was a pill container, because if you watched my other video, I'll link above, where I did the superpower blood test, my cholesterol came back kind of high. So now I'm taking a couple supplements, and they can get a little bit confusing throughout the day. So I actually now have a pill container that I use. Definitely just keeps me more organized than before. Another thing that I would say if you're about to start your journey and you want to invest in is, number one, a smart scale, which I will link my review for the smart scale that I use by Renpho up above, and a smart tape measure. Now, both of these by Renpho connect to the Renpho app, so everything is logged on your phone and you can see the trends as you're losing weight. I think that is really important to get as soon as you start your journey, so that way you can really see your progress and especially celebrate those like non-scale victories with the tape measure. Like, you can see yourself losing the inches, even if, say, the scale doesn't move for a week or two. I bet you that tape measure is moving. And then another thing that's not required, but I would think about is if you are planning on traveling with your GLP-1, getting one of those travel containers, like I think they're categorized as insulin, like travel pouches or travel organizers, because you're going to need some way to keep your GLP-1s cooled or refrigerated in some way while you're traveling. Now, again, none of these are required. These are just things that I use every day or use every week that have just made my life easier on this journey, and I have basically just learned the hard way in the last 2.5 years in my journey. And again, all of these videos, I just talk about my personal experience and what made my life easier. Again, that I have learned the hard way, and I want to pass on the knowledge and the information to you guys if you have just started your journey or you're thinking about starting it. And if you've watched any of my other Amazon Find videos, you've probably heard me talk about many of these before. But honestly, they have just made sticking to the healthy habits so much easier for me. So I just keep talking about them because I want everyone to know about them. I want everybody else's lives to be easier, right? And now this section, depending on your provider or your doctor, you may want to budget for follow-up appointments if you're seeing your in-person doctor and you have a copay, or like lab appointments, like lab work. If your doctor requires that you get lab work before starting on a GLP-1, or maybe, in 12 weeks, they want a 3-month follow-up with an appointment and lab work, and you have to pay out of pocket for that type of stuff, or any sort of like annual physical preventative care that you're paying a copay or out of pocket for. Starting on a GLP-1, especially if you are seeing your doctor in person, you might be seeing your doctor a lot more than you had in previous years. Now, obviously, these costs can vary, and especially person to person, but I think it's important to remember that taking care of your overall health is part of the journey, not just injecting yourself and taking the medication. There is a bigger journey here. So when people ask, what does it cost to be on a GLP-1? My answer is always, well, it's more than just the medication. It's also about your priorities. For me, it's investing in protein, hydration, and the tools that help me stick to those habits and stay on track. So let me know down in the comments, what is one GLP-1 related purchase that you think has been completely worth the money? I would love to hear from you. I love reading all your comments and how you guys talk to me, you talk to each other, you encourage each other and cheer each other on. And I love reading the comments and finding out about new products or things that you suggest to me that I have never thought about before. And also, if you're searching for a provider for your GLP-1, or if you're shopping around looking maybe to switch providers, if you're currently on one and you really don't like them, I will leave the link down below to Gobi Meds. And remember, you can use my code HeatherS25. You can get $25 off your GLP-1 purchase when you set up like a plan with them. And like I said, I've had a really good experience with them so far. Quick shipping, really good packaging. All the instructions and everything was laid out perfectly. The interactions that I've had with the doctor through the chat, their portal, like their patient portal and their website is really laid out really well, user-friendly. Not scammy at all. When you go on to some of these like compounding pharmacies or telehealth provider websites and you're like, all these images look fake, and like, you can tell. This one, no, they are legit. I have been using them, and as always with any of my recommendations, I would not recommend something if I did not test it out, use it myself, have been using them. You'll know from me whether or not it's a good product or not. I like to keep it 100% real around here. So anyway, like this video if you enjoyed it or you gained any knowledge from it. Subscribe to see all my future stuff coming up, and I will see you in the next one.